because you don't want to lose to them. But let's see who is going to take the cake here in game number 1. Let's jump into that right now. We got Gen.G on blue, Sandbox on red, and what should be a fiery game 1 to start us off tonight.
Loading in here to the level 1, which has largely been pretty damn passive, we have to admit, on patch 824B. Cool to see Gen.G finally take to the Rift after spending so much of the offseason, at least based on interviews, courting Peanut. They did get their man. They do get a very famous, aggressive jungler. You look at this lineup and you say, if it's the Peanut of spring season, and of course Peanut had a fantastic 2018 spring season on Kingzone, if he's in that form, playing aggressive and invading, you look at his laners, Cuvée and Fly are not known to be aggressive. They're known to be much more utility laners that can back up their allies, usually Ruler in summer season, but not to any great success. If Peanut gets that backup, if Peanut can be unleashed on the Rift and play with the sort of confidence that he has in the past, this lineup could be very Peanut-focused in the early game, transitioning into Ruler, being that late-game team fighter. But these are what-ifs. They have played 0 competitive games together. Today is the first indicator of the playstyle we'll get from the new-look Gen.G.
It's the first chapter of the new year, essentially, the prologue, the forward, if you will, here at the KeSPA Cup. Definitely some exciting stuff jumping into this game number 1. He hops onto the Lee Sin as well, who hasn't been having too much success here in the KeSPA Cup so far. But again, this is Peanut on one of his biggest picks ever. And I can't wait to see what he can do.
Starting top side, you'll notice Camille's mid already.
Oh boy, already getting that stun.
Got it.
Fly. He just knows he's dead. Not even going to flash. Easy first blood given over to Crush.
The fake leash from Sandbox Gaming threw off the entire lineup of Gen.G so hard. You notice that Ruler and Life were already bot side. That was probably what was guaranteed by Peanut to allow his bot lane to get to the lane first to help with the 2v2. They see Hollow and Joker come in very, very late. So there should be an indicator here to the side of Sandbox what's going on, but this is all about Sandbox just heavily outplaying because the fake leash means they think that Camille is going to path top side. Instead, it all just goes to plan. Very nice gank in the mid lane is pulled up.
The thing that I was curious about is that there is a ward in the Pixel Brush for the side of Gen.G, but somehow I think the Camille just skirted around that. The hook shot cooldown definitely too long to hook shot over and then hook shot again. So he just skirted around that. Very unfortunate for Gen.G. Maybe it was just on the left corner of the Pixel Brush and didn't see the Camille coming in, but either way, even Fly knew it. He didn't flash. He's like, okay, I guess I'm just dead.
There's no way to proc the Aftershock at level 1, right? Doesn't have W or R to do that, so he's actually super duper squishy and press the attack. Does the rest of the work. So just in general, I'm a big fan of fake leashes, and the fact that Ruler and Life played for their own lane and that Hollow and Joker did the fake leash to actually help out the jungler came together. Just really well coordinated move by Sandbox, and this is why we don't put too much thought into the word about scrims, the word on paper, because when it comes to the KeSPA Cup, sometimes the word has been good, SK Telecom looking very strong, but other times it's been surprises, surprises abound.
That it has been. They do have to prove themselves here. Peanut looking at a bottom side gank, but all these summoners available. We'll see if he actually does try to go for it. Joker is very nearby. He's just going to go for the recall. Pick up some items.
Dove coming back to the mid lane. The master of Aatrox and Ryze. Feels like these are the two picks he plays and play both sides of that matchup. And then into Aatrox and all the standard meta stuff. Dove's been a pretty hard player to rate, but I think he's looked in general pretty promising on the Team Battle Comics into Sandbox Gaming roster. So for now, plenty of control in the mid lane, given that Fly was already forced out of lane a lot earlier. Zyra Khan versus Varus Leona. I think Varus Leona have a lot of good options here, and Varus got that hotfix buff on patch 824B. Leona always pretty good into Rakan. So outside of the early laning phase, benefiting Ruler and Life just because they got there earlier, moments like this can happen.
Nice little trade, but Joker is going to be knocked up on the backside. Takes an Ignite to the face too, but it's just going to be a trade in the end. Life going for that Ignite early, maybe getting a little bit too just into it in that moment.
I mean, Life gets an Ignite for flash trade. He'll feel pretty good about that. Joker having to flash defensively. The one-way nature of Leona always been her strongest point and also her most risky point. So with Leona's flash down, we'll see if Peanut puts any attention to bot side, because so far, the new jungler's been in hard farming mode, trying to get that level 6 as fast as possible on the Lee Sin.
Yeah, the biggest discrepancy in terms of farm has been the mid lane, of course, but when you get ganked at level 1, you're going to have a pretty hard time as a Lissandra, especially with the minion dematerializer on the rise, can really push that lane up as fast as possible.
Being a big fan of the team warding we see come through from Sandbox. Noticed in the past minute or so, Dove put a deep ward in onto the Raptor entrance. See Peanut on that ward now. Leona put down a ward at the other entrance. So all entrances and a control ward are down. This is as safe an Ocean Drake take as you could ask for. And a 5-minute Ocean Drake with the buffed stats and the fact that it was always one of the best early laning Drakes means that Dove's life, even the Varus's life, are going to be super helped out by that extra regen. Just help them scale through what can sometimes be pretty tricky laning phases.
Yeah, it's a fantastic idea to just get them ahead in the lanes, but also the fact that mid is winning so hard certainly helps them out to just push it in as fast as you can. All those minion dematerializers used very fast to make sure that even the Rise could come down and help. Now, we do have this Lee Sin down at the Scuttle Crab, is currently on a ward with Crush nearby, but level 6 Fly is threatening here, and Life is going to make his way over first. That pushing bottom lane for the side of Gen.G, going to help him secure that Scuttle Crab.
In Pick and Ban, we describe both these comps as pick comps, and they certainly are that. But if you look at how much overlap there is, it's actually pretty much everywhere. They have pretty much the same amount of backline threat, Leona versus something like a Lissandra or Rakan. So given all those variables, this trade's going pretty evenly up top.
KeSPA looks like he is going to be sucked on in, but does have that passive, or rather that ultimate was procced. Can he get the extra damage here, Wiser? Not even really going to try for it. Knows he already took a good trade. He's just going to take that with him.
No allies coming to help this. Akuve's passive and ultimate cooldown. The same story with Wiser. Just to finish the point, given there's so much overlap in basically every metric, the only thing to separate the teams is probably going to be vision. Vision control in the early to mid game, which we've already seen Sandbox winning, is so important in drafts like this. And speaking of vision control, KeSPA is trying to play as safely as possible.
He does have his flash. He's just going to dash away from that one, flashing on in. Forces Crush to use his own flash defensively. Didn't want to go that deep, and KeSPA gets away.
Kind of surreal that he'd be happy to ult, yet not happy to follow, and instantly cancels his top side.
Okay, this time around, though, the hook shot comes in. That's going to be the second kill. Nice kick in by Peanut, but he misses the Q. And now we got a Leona in the top side.
Oh.
Wiser, though, bit of a mistake, is going to lose his life, staying too far in range of the turret for too long.
Wiser, a rookie top laner, played so well against winners in his debut, replacing Soar. But here, it takes probably 2 turret shots too many. The last one especially was eminently avoidable. Should not been a 1-for-1. And it's a consequential 1-for-1, because remember, Leona roamed top side, so there's checkpoints to be cashed in on by the Xayah and Rakan bot side.
And in the end, the Leona really not doing much of anything, as Wiser had already died, and Crush didn't want to follow.
And Leona was actually happy footing a little bit. She was actually going to come from behind the turret, then saw the fight was continuing. Wiser takes the 3 shots. That part is fine. And then the last shot, unfortunately, that's the one where you say on the VOD review, actually, let's skip that point. Maybe no 7-minute VOD review coming through for Wiser there. Good moment getting the first kill, but then a very avoidable death evens up the trade between KeSPA and Wiser.
Well, they do have a fed Camille at this point. That is one of the good things that is going for Cross. We've seen so many jungle Camilles start off and then die again, and then they're just useless for the entire game. You always want your jungle Camille to get off to a good start and, you know, start using that lead to help out in dives and other lanes and get everybody ahead.
And let's also mention, we should talk about the itemization. A lot of Camille jungle players watching the stream on and playing on 824B. In spite of having 2 kills, there is no Tiamat here. Tiamat is gone for junglers after the 125 gold price hike on the recipe. Mainlining just into the warrior enchant. And for competitive play, it's been basically the fastest warrior enchant into stopwatch guardian angel you can build to be a frontliner to do decent damage. The Trinity Force so far has been absent, in addition to that guardian angel, but when you're far enough ahead, if that's a 4-0 Camille, who's to say some extra damage might not come out?
Love to see what he does build into. I saw Peanut pinging the ward that was down, even though they didn't have exact vision on the Urgot putting it down. They know those ward spots that are super common. They saw him, you know, heading towards the blue side, and he says, there's a ward probably right here. He was exactly correct.
But how scary is it that they've had such a vision disadvantage in this game so far? one of Gen.G's big advantages is seeing a bit of a trade in mid lane. With KeSPA in the lineup was smart vision control. It's fallen away here, but Peanut is in Q range of Dove. Let's wait to see if he tries it. Won't do it this time. Without vision against a Camille jungle with 2 kills. Every laner has to play oh so defensive, Valdez. There's going to be a pause called for just a second here, but very evident so far in the first 10 minutes that Sandbox's warding has been more plentiful and very smartly placed. We already said, mirror pick comps. The pick comp with the vision lead, feeling pretty great.
And this is going to be a second best of 3 where Crush is already impressing me in the beginning of this one. But, of course, you know, we do have to wait until the entire game plays itself out. But we're also getting some news, guys, about what is going on. It looks like Fly disconnected from the Discord. So we got to get him back in and so we can actually hear him in the game. Not us, but his teammates.
Well, that should only be a momentary problem, you would hope. Pray to the Discord gods that things come new. New gods, we had Skype gods before.
True, yeah.
No Joel to pray to either, unfortunately. So it is the winds of change in front of and behind the camera on the LCK broadcast. KeSPA Cup, another week of this fun, kind of Champions Winter vibe we have going here.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen probably the teams that are most hyped for it. I guess SKT right now is probably going to be one of the big favorites. So interesting to see how KT and Afrika, Griffin all make their big debuts. That's all coming in the next few days. So just hyped to get to the second half of the tournament. We've already had X amount, I think 6 teams eliminated so far and plenty more to go. I believe the field of 18 being thinned down as time goes on.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. I'm excited for what could be the SKT versus Damwon matchup as they might meet in the second round of 8, unless, of course, one of the teams that's going up against them, you know, BBQ, maybe LS is going to put a stop to SKT. That would certainly make things interesting.
Yep.
And then I think it's Afrika versus Griffin in the second round of 8. Just 2 top LCK teams playing that early on in the tournament to decide who makes it into the semifinals is also a real deal breaker for one of them.
Afrika versus Griffin is so high because it's a new roster versus one of these rosters that stayed together. Griffin adding a support sub, but otherwise keeping the roster that finished second in LCK Summer and was, of course, so close to making it to the World Championship as well. So Griffin's up there when it comes to big favorites. There's so much to learn because even though we've had multiple best of 3s, we haven't had everyone play. So it's not like the Masia Cup Championship. That was played out, double elimination, and wasn't using all the challengers teams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're very much about representation here at KeSPA Cup. It's about really embracing everyone that's around the scene rather than just seeing the most of the top teams. So for some people, that's great. For other people, they're just waiting to see their favorites, and only the SKT fans so far have been able to see one of the really big hopes for LCK Spring actually take to the Rift.
Well, you were talking about the pressure that a jungler that is this far ahead can put on. Might have been part of the reason why Peanut didn't go into the gank without his flash onto the Rise that's very far ahead of the Lysandra. But also, Camille is able to get that super early Rift Herald here before 11 minutes even pops. You were talking about this in the beginning, the first day we had here at KeSPA Cup. If you can get that down before 14 minutes, you will get 2 checkpoints if it hits a turret. That's 320 gold for anybody who is nearby. That's more than a kill.
Gen.G have only now invested multiple controllers to get an answering Ocean Drake. Still feels good, still the full power, you know, that extra first Drake after the buffs at 11 minutes. Still a pretty good timing for it, but certainly not going to hold a candle to the Rift Herald unless it is mismanaged. We've seen some pretty bad Rift Herald, we have to admit, over the course of the KeSPA Cup. Here in the mid lane,
trying to bait that cleanse. He flashes first, not handled super well, but again, 3 people get on top of him, and they finally make that gank happen on the Dove.
You hate to see it, Valdez. One of those fail flashes into the wall, not over the wall. Looks a bit silly. Mid laner goes down after going greedy build path. No Merc treads against Lysandra as a first item is risky and perilous, and you see the reward here. If he had that extra half second to get over the wall, maybe he'd be fine. Certainly not fine. An answering kill goes to Fly.
Definitely not fine. He's dead. And yeah, he just wanted to rush that Archangels, I suppose, but if you really need that extra tiny little bit of AP to finish that off, you need to stack it first anyway. Definitely agree with you. Make sure you get those Merc treads first.
I think it might be because he went 3 boots and had a different back timing, but you don't usually see that in a matchup against Lysandra where you need the Mercs ASAP. Look at the CC on the other side. Even just for Khan and Lysandra, you are begging for some Merc treads. Didn't have those. Let's look at the timing here. Fly's already back to mid lane, so it won't be a completely uninterrupted charge, but there's no one here from Gen.G, so they're still going to get a nice amount of gold. I believe actually solo gold on Dove.
Yeah, it looks like it. I saw 320 just on the Dove, so that Rise, maybe now he's got enough gold to go in for it, but either way, that is a fantastic way to get some gold ahead for your team.
And this is the first time in domestic play in Korea that Ruler's been able to use his Xayah skin. There were actually some bugs on some of the early previous patches. Mid lane.
Uh-oh, that's a really long route. Is he going to go in for that?
Nope.
No. No ultimate this time around from Crush, who used his flash for the stun.
Signature Edition Ruler on display for the first time. The mid lane gank, his flash was already down, so didn't have it to follow there, and just didn't have a channel time on his ultimate. I'll take away, so no answering kill on the mid lane, only some gold over to Dove. He's going to stay in lane, and Peanut is still around the mid lane.
Looks like both of them are going to kind of be called off this time around. Dove and Crush backing off in the lane, allowing the push to happen. And yeah, they're on the hunt. They're spotted, though. They see Fly in here. Not sure if Peanut hopped the wall. Probably, as he is the Lee Sin.
Still a vision lead over to Sandbox, but definitely not as much aggressive vision as before. Only a single ward on the Raptors. Advance of the river here for Sandbox. Khan walking over. Knows a ward's there, but unable to clean it before it expires. So we back away. We return to the farming phase. It's a 600 gold lead. That charge from the Rift Herald, actually one of the consequential things when it comes to gold leads so far. Drake spawning in a few minutes. But the defensive vision line right now gives just a little bit less agency to Crush, and with his flash down as well. The lane is from Gen.G for the first time. Honestly, in the first 15 minutes, can probably push up and not be worried as much as before.
You can see the amount of pressure that's being put into securing these Rift Scuttlers. You were talking about the double checkpoint for the turret, but even the Rift Scuttler, 140 gold, goes back over to the side of Peanut, so not half bad in terms of that. Whenever we take a look up in the top lane, even though it's exactly even in CS, it always feels like Wiser is getting the better of those traits, but nothing really substantial being built by Wiser so far.
When it comes to this super common top lane matchup, it has been going 50-50 even in this tournament. Watching the trades again. Ult misses.
Okay, well, Wiser, now you've got to be on the run here. Forced to flash away. Definitely not the trade he was looking for this time. Fly also making his way up the river. Means that he will almost definitely would have lost that trade anyway.
I feel like Dove should have used one of these moments to get a back time. He needs Merc treads so badly. Every time even his blue buff is being contested, he can't really walk up because he has to respect his top side.
Wiser getting low, but does he have the burst damage to get on into QV? QV doesn't have his cooldowns. Here's Camille from way over the wall. Makes her way all the way in from the blast plant to the hook shot. Picks up a third kill.
Not often you see a scenario like that where QV with a flash advantage just misplays the lane. Camille's top side, nice pathing from Crush, gets that kill. But they've given up entire pressure around bot side. They will lose first turret, making these map plays, even though Leona and Varus weren't involved in the play.
Everybody else in the mid lane, Dove winning these trades for now, with the rest of his team backing him up. The big reason why they're all grouping up here is the Infernal Drake in 8 seconds. Everybody wants that 10% now on the new patch.
Really nice ward here. They don't know that Gen.G has full information. Here comes Fly!
Here we go. That should be a nice couple of AoE there. No ultimate use just yet. Joker getting extremely low, and Crush is going to go down as well. Wiser, very late to the fight, is going to get that Fear Beyond Death, but dies immediately after. Nobody else on the side of Sandbox can really commit into this one. It looks like Gen.G should be able to pick up the Infernal Drake.
But they also pick up 3 easy kills, and Valda's exactly like we said. We are, in fact, the prophecy makers, because we said when its 2 pick comes, the vision lead is all that's important. The teleport, icing on the cake, and no way for the members of Sandbox to actually min-max their damage, because Gen.G had all the time in the world to pick their opponents, to make the play call, and wipe the floor with Sandbox.
Made it look easy. The Vision once again being the hero this time around. That's going to be Infernal into another Infernal as well, so Gen.G really grabbing this game by the horns now. We'll see if they can pick up that second one after now picking up the first. 10% AD and AP on the new patch is pretty insane, especially for any kind of aggressive comp that you're going to be building on 824B.
And League of Legends has so many fundamentals that players pick up as they start to learn the game. Probably the first one most people learned was don't follow Singe. That guy has a lot of damage when you're trying to follow him, so the chasing there is the issue. The new age one should be, especially for competitive play, don't set up a gank brush without a control ward or a sweeper. They had neither, and thus got exactly the punishment they deserve.
Especially when you're seeing so much Lissandra, too. If you want to do her job for you, I mean, go right ahead. She's going to win in the end, right? There were 3 people in the brush, and even though the stun from Leona was immediate, it was just the easiest setup for her and her team.
And especially new Lissandra, because no longer is she just a one-round burst into just kind of walking around queuing people at short range. You get those kills or assists, the extra explosions from the Frozen Thralls are so much more burst in an extended fight like that. If you're hitting a 5-man W like we saw from Faker the other day, you're probably going to be paid off with just a huge amount of team fight damage. And nicely set up by 5, but like you're mentioning, like we both said, too easy for Gen.G.
Well, we have the Baron coming here soon, and it always feels like we talk about this early, but on this new patch, you kind of have to, because Baron takes can happen really quickly, especially if they get a pick up towards the top side. Sandbox trying to hold on to their top turret will be able to do so for now.
So risky to walk up. They don't have that vision control like before.
Oh boy, Crush is going to be ultimated, and there is no hope for him. 3-on-1. Getting greedy, trying to clear out the vision. He's going to pay for it.
And this is good to see from Gen.G. Yes, they've always been a team with good vision control. Didn't see it in the early game, but that was one of their typical things on the side of Samsung Galaxy. But actually being aggressive and proactive around that vision control sometimes was something that they were not successful at. Looking for even more here as life comes with a turret dive. This could be risky.
Definitely way too risky here. Even getting the bounce there is Dove, as he seems like the turret going in. The flash forward from Joker. Can they burst him down? The flash away from the knockup, and he's going to get 1 kill. Dove on the run. Can they win this 2v2? Joker getting extremely low. Do they have the damage? Yes, they do, but now it's Rise versus 2, and a bunch of minions as well. Trying to split them up, but Life not able to hop on over. Is going to go down in the end, a 2-for-2.
And there was also a solo kill, I believe, on the other side. Aatrox's dead. Urgot is not. We'll have to get a replay to confirm that one. Dove is overstaying and then some. This was a little bit silly.
Trying to get out, though, with the shield and the root. He gets out with barely any health. Looks like 50 health on the backside.
Aftershock Rise. We didn't note it, but it actually comes up big right at the end. Meanwhile, on the bot side, a solo kill, a level lead here. KeSPA has his ultimate, surely he does. And it just ends up with him going too far down the lane.
Yeah.
And waiting out the damage here is Wiser. Look at this, even uses exhaust. This is what you do. 10 seconds is that nerf duration. And 10 seconds later, KeSPA in the death chamber, and Wiser continuing to build upon what was a very decent showing a few days ago. Outside of a single mistake, things coming up Wiser in the 1v1.
Yeah, and you got to question KeSPA, going way too far down the lane, not making note of the exhaust that Wiser had as well. You talked about how this is the most common matchup right now in the top lane in this meta. Who should have a better handle on it, the rookie or KeSPA?
And one of the reasons why I was saying it was Aatrox favored back at Worlds, because KeSPA was dominating people on the Aatrox side of the matchup. Nothing's really changed in terms of balance for those two. They've both been tuned down and played with over time. And now KeSPA is mismanaging the trades. He's got Roach, who is higher ranked than him on solo queue right now. We might actually see in game number 2, in spite of his competitive history of struggling on Kongdu Monster. So given all of that, not a good look to be 0-4-4 in his re-debut on this new look Gen.G roster.
It's definitely one question mark for the side of Gen.G so far in a very even game. This certainly can go either way as well. I mean, Sandbox now an LCK team and looked fantastic in the promotions, at least to make it into LCK. We got this next Infernal Drake coming up here in 15 seconds. You can see that already.
They learned.
They're looking.
They got a control ward this time, Valdez. They're learning.
That they do. They have 5 members in the river to the flash forward, and Wiser able to set up this play. With the kick away there on the Camille, but doesn't look like he can get away. He's very, very close to going down, and down he will. and now it's a 2-on-1 on the bottom side. Here's Lissandra, though, but R.8 is just so damn tanky. Doesn't seem like he takes any damage. Trying to wait this ultimate out once again as well. Can he do it? Nearly can. Is going to be forced to flash away, but here comes Dove. 1-on-4. Is going to get the root onto Ruler, but Ruler doing a nice amount of damage. Coming up as the hero once again just to push them away, but still, Sandbox taking a big win in the fight.
The play calling on Sandbox is so much cleaner. They actually used the Realm Walk to get into the Infernal, and Infernal is a big consequential answer to the Infernal that Gen.G got earlier. So there's no difference in terms of the Drakes. Same Drakes on either side. But so far, the play calling has been cleaner by Sandbox. They also have played with their roster, not to the degree of Gen.G, but we're seeing a new look roster versus a more settled roster. Also, we're seeing a team that's already played in competitive game on 824B and a team debuting on it. Juve's got some issues, so do Gen.G, as the gold lead is there for Sandbox at 23 minutes.
It's a really nice read in the river to get on top of Peanut. It's Elise in, who had his flash available, decides to use it after all the damage came out from Camille and R.8. And definitely not the most, a little bit disappointing, I should say, on the backside there from Peanut. We'll see if he can clear it up. Dove here, nice read on the map, doesn't really have vision. There's a ninja in the brush, so he was pretty smart not to go up to that wave. Probably would have died 2v1.
Earlier in this tournament, we were pretty hyped when we had Damwon Gaming go through 2 rosters and then play the same champions with different players. Gives you a bit of a scientific comparison of their junglers and supporters. Because we have 2 pick comps that are pretty identical in terms of how they play out, it's really fun seeing how both teams play around vision changes. When 3 control wards go down top side, how does the enemy team play now that the game state has changed? It doesn't matter if you won the last fight, when it's so much about who gets the first pick damage and CC in, wins the fight from there. Someone dies very, very quickly on both sides, and it's really a product of vision. So this game is really a battle of the mini-map. Even though a lot of viewers love to watch the big explosions in the middle of the screen, we're trying to really focus on the bottom right here to understand where both teams are strong, where they're weak, and whether those teams can understand when it's the pendulum swings from left to right, when the control wards are cleared by one team or the other.
This time Dove on a ward himself, but Peanut unknowingly makes his way past a red ward and is going to be spotted up in the top side. We'll see how that goes for them. Crush, currently down on the bottom side, needs a buy. Probably going to go for that Trinity Force. You were wondering, what is the next item for this Camille that is ahead in the jungle with no more Tiamat? Looks like Trinity Force, not even going to go for that Guardian Angel, deciding to add on some more damage.
And then we have to add in, after playing to your vision control, play to your items. Could have gone Snowball Guardian Angel, would have had it already, and then can just ult Ruler and kind of deal with the consequences later. If you go Trinity Force, drop behind in vision, and then die randomly in the front line, you're not playing to your win conditions at all. So let's watch if Crush can take advantage. Here we go in the mid.
They trying to get on top of Ruler, but still has that Feather Storm, and see you later, Crush. Just what you were saying. Tries to go to the back line, gets caught out there by the Rakan, and just disappears immediately.
And you can't play like that, Valdez. That is the rookie tendencies of a team new to the LCK. Crush may be experienced as a player, but needs to play more respectfully. One person will explode in the first 6 seconds of a team fight. That's the reality of the 2 comps, and this time it's Crush with a gold spree and a lot of experience, giving gold to the side of Gen.G.
Only disappointing play there from Crush. We'll see if he can turn that one around. Now it looks like Gen.G trying to put some pressure on the mid side.
They got control wards on both sides. It's so difficult for Hollow to do anything other than shoot Qs and try to wave clear from ultra safety on this Varus.
A couple of members also just going back, not really offering him some support in the mid side, so unfortunately just wave clearing for now. And trying to hold on to this mid turret is the side of Sandbox.
On a ward. Gen.G getting much, much better with their vision control here in the mid game, and Sandbox probably just trying to steady themselves. They know they've made a couple of mistakes in a row. They know they can't afford to give up the gold lead they have. It's still pretty marginal at 1,500. The first Baron has seen plenty of attention, but no team has been able to get full control over it. Looking in the inventories here, a lot more control wards on the side of Sandbox they've recently shopped. Meanwhile, only 2 available for the side of Gen.G.
Another thing I was looking at is the 80 carry items. I'll hold that thought as they're trying to collapse here onto Fly, but the root is going to come in, trying to get on top of him. There is that Zenith Blade. Gonna hold down Fly for now, and here comes him. But the ultimate there from the Lissandra, gonna keep her alive for so long, even as the Zonias, but in the backside, Peanut goes down too. It's not enough time to stay alive, but Ruler is incredibly strong, flashes over the wall, does get a double kill. Weiser now is on the run. KeSPA trying to set this up again, is gonna get one more knockup. There's a second one, and it looks like his teammate on the backside of Weiser is just running away. That's 4 kills to the side of Gen.G.
You look Gen.G, same win condition. Ruler in the late game. He had a CS lead for the majority of the game. 60 CS up, an Infinity Edge up on his opponent. And even though the first 2 kills went to the side of Sandbox, Ruler put his carry pants on, and suddenly the Baron has started up. It will not be taken, but the map control back on the side of Gen.G. As Crush says, maybe a kill, maybe not this time.
Get away from my rookie, says KeSPA. But he was even up a Zeal too. The Varus bought a Zeal after he died as well.
And the Varus is someone we should talk about because, again, we remember this. We saw the left side, but watching the minimap here, Varus comes in late after 2 kills are registered, but Sandbox have no position available to help Hollow, and he thinks, ooh, I'll come for the flank, and just gets instant killed by Ruler on the bottom side of the fight. And despite having those first 2 kills, there's nothing left to be used on Ruler, and he puts his CS lead into turning it on in that team fight.
Yeah, you know, there have been some mistakes from the side of Sandbox, previously Team Battle Comics, that just scream challenger to me, you know? You're a new team here in the LCK, you have to do some proving. Here in the KeSPA Cup is the best place to do it before the LCK even starts, but some of these guys, you know, you just gotta play a little bit cleaner at times. That was definitely not a clean play from Hollow.
No one gets a free pass when you're working out which angle to enter a fight on against a pick comp. If you're Varus especially, you don't even have the Featherstorm when it comes to escaping. So yes, you never want a team fight where you do 0 damage as an AD carry, but he did 0 damage, died basically as an AD carry going too aggressively. A very easy thing to VOD review and improve, but when it comes to such an even 5v5, be consequential. Joker's going to snap back.
Oh boy. Well, no hope for you. Again, just getting caught out there, disrespecting the Aatrox and what he can do. Gets hit by that W and say, see you later.
And up here is Aatrox, but has ulti if necessary. They don't have the pick damage, take him down 4v5. Gen.G pushes up. They want to break the base before the Leona even respawns. May have to settle for only an inner and Baron control as, well, Wise is pretty far up.
And they're trying to get on in him, and there you go. Follow up from the side of the Rakan, going to keep him in place. Sandra will get away with the kill, and once again, Weiser just steps up right in the face of 5 and says, I can survive, I'm Urgot. No, you can't. You're gonna die.
The communication here, it's the dominoes are falling and collapsing one by one on the side of Sandbox. First Joker walks up, gets rooted back. Weiser thinks he's tankier than he is. No one's tanky against 5 items. 5 people, 5 damage dealers on the side of Gen.G, and a 4.5 item Xayah walks up here, and surprise, surprise, it turns out Lissandra can't be duped by the E coming through, and he goes down as, well, there's going to be a trade kill probably.
Well, we'll see. Fly trying to push them all the way. This time
Ruler.
It's Ruler walking up, but he's super strong, and he mentioned it before. He has Featherstorm, so even if he gets in that kind of wary position, he can get away.
Feeling like an off-season game here, everyone taking that 2 aggressive parts. Everyone's playing too much solo queue and wants to get more and more kills on the board. 24 in 30 minutes, not quite solo queue time, but still a good amount of kills in this game. Wise has gone for the Frozen Mallet here, which is more useful in the 1v1 than it is in the team fights, and I don't remember too many 1v1s. I don't think we're going to see too many 1v1s left in this game, because if you leave your allies, turns out a lot of people can die during that teleport channel.
Yeah, he's trying to live out the early laning phase, where generally it was in his favor.
Those were the good old days.
The game has changed. Yeah, it's a different time now for the Urgot. He's with his team now. We'll see if that actually works out, but here comes KeSPA. He's going to be spotted by the minions.
Vision everywhere from the side of Gen.G. Oh, it's timeout. KeSPA can walk up, and yes, he will probably not be a massive damage dealer in this game, but he can face check pretty easily. Level 16 onto the Aatrox, and here we go.
Sonya's going to be procced here, and, well, I'm sorry, sir. You're going to have to flash away with that cleanse if you want to get away. Thankfully, he doesn't go down just yet, but Peanut has a word to say about that. He's going to take him out, and Crush goes down too. Fortunately, Peanut paid the iron price on the backside as well. Got a little bit too close there. But either way, it's still a one fight there for Gen.G, just catching Sandbox again.
1 by 1 they fold, but more dominoes falling for Sandbox Gaming than Gen.G. The pick comes rolling powerfully. But we're seeing Crush, you know, unfortunately. We go back to his item build of Trinity Force over the Guardian Angel. It's become standard so far in this tournament. Continues to dive in, dies so much quicker, especially attack Trinity Force on the Camille, and those kills have really meant no threat onto Ruler. Free hitting from this soon-to-be 6-item Xayah. Things falling apart for Sandbox Gaming.
I mean, even the Chain Vest, he's desperately trying to get into that item, but it just doesn't matter. The Chain Vest isn't going to save you against 5-0-7, almost 6-item Xayah. And once again, just same thing, caught out by the W here. This time it was Dove, and even Joker gets a little bit too close to this on his Ruler, nearly blows him up.
It's definitely too easy, is what we'll say, for some of the kills that are happening here. Go with your team. Don't go alone. The forest is one of those old Zelda adages, but also very relevant here. Joker trying to gatekeep fly. They're on Baron, but still at 8,000 health.
Oh, this is one way to try to win back the game.
50-50.
They notice they're back. Joker just trying to keep Peanut locked down. Can he do it? Yes, he can. It looks like Joker might dive it. Here's the Rakan. And finally, KeSPA makes his way into the fight.
It's a monster.
They want to take them all out on the backside. They're going to get onto Crush, too. And even if they do get this Baron, will everybody survive? Might just be Crush, but they're still on the chase here. As meanwhile, we got Fly just pushing the mid lane.
Game will end in this push, you'd have to think. Chasing down Crush, slowly. He's not going to be there for the wave. Lissandra had already teleported in to start the end. Crush, will he live? Yeah, it looks like maybe. Nope, just solo kill by a support.
Yeah.
Just Gen.G things. Gen.G will win a weird and wonderful game number 1. Their pick comp, look, it wasn't leagues ahead of Sandbox, but it was good enough to pick up game number 1.
32 kills, 32 minutes.